What's up guys, my name is XANAA and hi, how's it going? Today I'm gonna be taking a look at V-Rally 2 Need for Speed and yeah, let's get into it. Alright, V-Rally 2 came out July 1999 for PlayStation and the game features rally cars that participated in the 1999 World Rally Championship. So, in some kind of way, this game is sort of a video game adaptation of WRC, just like what Codemasters have done with the F1 games. Then later in November 1999, again, EA rebranded the game to be called V-Rally 2 Need for Speed, and it came out in America November 17th, 1999. The game also came out for Windows and for Dreamcast, and this is what those versions look like, and I won't be playing them. I'll be looking at the PlayStation version made by Infogrames Multimedia, and yeah, let's just dive into it. Alright, so we have our main menu here, 1 player, 2 player, and game options. I'm not gonna go into huge depth about what all of these settings are, so we go into 1 player mode, and here you can make a profile. We create a profile and then we select a car. Easiest choice of my life. We pick the Saxo and we can actually get a hang of the game here, sorta. So first of all, the graphics are a huge improvement from this to this, and I do really like the character sprites in the car. The audio itself is pretty solid, and by default you'll hear your co-driver speak to you. It's a pretty decent feature, but for the sake of the video I'll be muting it. The controls this time are a bit slippery, and for me personally, I got the hang of the controls after a few events. Throughout the game, you'll be driving through different types of terrain, and with that comes elevational changes, and I gotta say, the physics are just much better in this game than in the first one. In the first game, collision with the AI cars is just very... But in this game, things are much better, even though at times I'm like literally inside of this guy's asshole. Where am I going with this? Right, you select a car and then we choose a game mode to play. We have Arcade, V-Rally Trophy, Championship, and Time Trial. There is also a track editor. And this is a feature I looked up so many times, but no one ever told me about this game. We'll go to the track editor and alternate play later into the video, so for now, let's go into Arcade. You select a level to play, and then we can also change some stuff here. In driving options, we have all these basic settings, and in car settings, we can change the tire selection, although by default, they are selected best suited for the event. We can also change the gearbox, the chassis, and the brakes, but I never really tampered with any of this. Let's start the stage and head straight into the action. In Arcade, once again you only do lap races, and the person who beats this entire level with the fastest total finishing time will win that level. Now once more, that basically means you can finish in 2nd place and carry on with that level. It's not mandatory for you to win every race, and if you were to run out of time during an event, you'll restart that race with one of your credits. Credits also make a return, and I think you gain a credit for winning a level. When you run out of credits, you'll just have to restart that entire level from scratch, and your reward for winning one of those levels is unlocking a bonus car. So there's stuff to unlock in this game. Speaking of the cars, since it's befitting for the subject, the game has a total of 16 cars with 10 extra cars being unlockable, with again the cars being divided into 3 different classes. The kit car class being the slowest of the 3, including the Citroën Saxo, the Peugeot 106, and the Nissan Micra. Then the average class would be including a Peugeot 306, a Citroën Sarah, a Seat Ibiza, a Renault Megane, and a Vauxhall Astra. And then the faster class of cars being the Subaru Impreza, a Ford Focus, a Seat Cordoba, a Skoda Octavia, a Peugeot 206, a Hyundai Coupe, a Mitsubishi Lancer, and a Toyota Corolla. And then some of the bonus cars are the likes of the Ford Escort and Lancia Stratos. I don't want to spoil the rest of the cars, but you might see some footage of me using other bonus cars. Then next up, let's go into V-Rally Trophy. Once more, there are 3 different difficulties, and let's just dive into it. Again, it's as straightforward like in arcade mode. You do a race, and every time set for an event will be tallied up towards the end of that trophy. Now, once more, none of the events are repeats from the arcade mode, and whilst you're still doing lap races here, there are also sprint races featured. You know, just like the A to B style events. And again, you unlock vehicles given you progress to the next trophy. Well, then next we have Championship. 1 car on track, 1 champ available. Again, we have like 3 different levels, and let's enter the action. So what this is, you're up against 7 other opponents, and players win by achieving the fastest time in a rally. A rally in whichever country will consist of 2 or 3 different events, and the opening ones will always be a sprint time attack. And in the final event, you'll do this head-to-head thing. I don't know exactly what it's called, but again, it's all about who has the fastest time in those events. Having the fastest time overall will give you 10 points, and that's how this championship is driven. Literally. After every stage you clear, you'll be taken to the screen where you can repair all damages caused to your vehicle, which is a really decent feature, but one that ultimately also sorta falls flat. When you go to the final event of a rally and then damage your car, it wouldn't be carried over to like the next rally in a different country, and while that all makes sense, I never felt like there was much in stake despite of there being a damage model. And overall, I mean, yeah, it's a nice change of pace, but you're still doing a more glorified time trial at the end of the day. Once you beat the expert rally, you get this cutscene, and then you've beaten the entire game and unlocked everything. And yeah, then time trial. What did you expect? Here you do get an overall view on how many countries and stages there are. There isn't exactly like an exhibition mode where you can race AI players on a specific course, so the only way to play any stage you like is here available in time trial. Like before, it's just a very simple game mode where you set your times, but you don't get infinite goes around the track this time. And now onto the courses. Once more, there are 3 different types of terrain, those being asphalt, dirt, or snowy, with the type of weather ranging between sunny, rain, and snowing, with time of day including daytime, sunset, and night. And to talk a bit about the tracks, well, there is a total of 12 countries to visit, each having 7 stages of their own. So there is a total of 84 different courses in this game. That's really nice, yeah. Well, let's start by going to Argentina. We pick a track and it all kinda looks dry, but that's not the only thing. There is an alternative path for you to choose on this stage, so yeah. That's a feature to multiple tracks in this game, and I am very happy with this. Yeah, I mean, Argentina kinda has these towns scattered around the map, but overall, you're just off-roading a lot. Then next we go to Australia. Again, we're just doing a ton of off-roading, and often or not, you'll pass through this open grass area followed by a forest. And the forest has a ton of bumps and stuff, and yeah, it's pretty cool, yeah. Then we go to Corsica in France. These events are usually very pleasant to play. More often or not, you'll be driving through a town that takes you through the countryside and then past the sea. The only downside I have was clipping into this wall, which happened several times, and other than that, yeah, Corsica's a very nice place to visit. Then we go to England. Usually you'll be storming through this grassy landscape and occasionally pass through a forest or a blend between the two. But they are simple, pleasant events to get the hang of the game. Then we go to Finland. Once more, it's a nice green forest track with usually very tricky conditions to steer in, but yeah, it's a lot of trees and sometimes a hilly plain of grass. They even change it up in some events so that they have you driving through this taiga forest with tall pine trees and such, but most of the time it's just forest. Then we go to Indonesia. Now, usually in these events, you find yourself driving through a village next to a river, and then you head into the wilderness. But they're entertaining tracks and something different for the eye to look at. And then we go to Italia, and here we usually start off in the mountains or at some kind of higher altitude, and we cruise through these rocks into a town. Now, they did sort of copy one of my worst gripes from the first game, which was the design made to the sidewalks, but in this game they made it nice and smooth. This is something you can actually drive on this time, and yeah, other than that, yeah, you drive through the countryside and that's it. And then we go to Monte Carlo. These events will have you driving through this mountain range, and usually you're driving on an icy surface. I mean, it's a nice track to look at while editing this footage over it, but overall, these tracks were a pain in the ass to deal with. I don't have a lot to say about this track outside from it's just kinda tough and a track that never seemed to be in favor of me. Then next we go to New Zealand. Right, so again, these are very fun events that will have you drive next to the coast into the Kiwi landscape, and then a bit of wilderness. They're bumpy and straight into your face, and especially later on you'll go through more of this type of valley landscape and you'll have to make sudden turns. Sometimes it's not very forgiving, but it's whatever. Then we go to Portugal. Yeah, the stages are okay, I suppose. What I don't like is how the track usually slopes down when you drive off of it, but that's also something that makes these stages stand out somewhat. And then we go to Spain. It's a nice and sunny open area where you usually drive past a few houses and then you off-road a little bit. It's just a very nice color palette to take in whenever you drive here. And then lastly we go to Sweden. What can I tell you? It's a bunch of snow and it's a nice change of scenery again. I like how colorful the houses are, and the stages are pretty fun in general, but oh boy are they sure difficult to play on just because of how many factors you have to take account for. But other than that, yeah, it's Rally at its finest, I'll tell you that. And then next off, if we go back to the game modes, there is a track editor, and alternate play is a 2-player feature that means you'd just be alternating between playing turns. Well, let's check out the track editor. So obviously you can create a new track, load one, erase one, copy one, and as far as I'm aware, you can only ever test it by yourself and not play on it against an AI player or via 2-player. But it is what it is. We're still in 1999, so the technology is still limited, but there are quite a few things you can do here. First off, there is a build mode, and this expands the tracks. When you do so, you use up a block and you have a total of 50 of them. Then next would be bend mode. This is a way to simplify creating a turn of your liking. You can also change the elevation, and then if you're struggling to finish the track, you can make it loop automatically. You can also create random elevation changes and track layouts, but they're pretty minimally randomized. You're better off just creating a track layout yourself and messing with any random elevational changes later. And the flag represents what attribute it takes from the existing rally in that place. Having it set to Corsica makes it so that it's always next to the sea, and having it set to Sweden would be having it in a snowy track. And then you can save a track, and that's that. And since I mentioned 2-player mode, this is how the game performed when playing with a buddy, and it was actually a ton of fun. We did a few rounds together and then called it quits, but we were both surprised with how entertaining everything really was. So yeah, so far I've been enjoying myself with the game. It's been a fun experience, and I'm going to summarize what I like about it, some pros, some cons, and yeah. Well, for starters, I think the game is a huge improvement over the last game, that's for sure. Everything is a bit more bigger and greater in this game, and for a late 90s video game, I sure think, again, it was ahead of its time. The car models look much better, and I like the effort they put into also adding the bonus cars. They didn't have to, but yeah, they did. I like the overall structure of the game, and albeit the cars feel a little janky to drive at first, once you get the hang of it, this game is a ton of fun. But there are also a few things that I wish were implemented, and that would have been an exhibition mode to play any race I want with a friend or against AI players, rather than doing an entire arcade cup to get to a certain event. I know there's time trial, but that's not what I'm talking about. Then the level editor, while I think it's a very cool concept, I think they could have done a bit more with it. At least letting us race with computer players on it would have been nice, but maybe I'm greedy. And then the music. That's kind of the one thing that disappointed me the most in this game. All the menu music is pretty cool, and then there is this one rock tune that plays during races that totally doesn't fit this game, but sounds pretty awesome. Makes you feel like you're Bowser or something and killing everyone in Smash. And then the other two are like weird techno tunes, I guess? In the last game we had rock music that I can still remember now, especially the one. But in this game the music genre kinda goes all over the place and I kind of forget almost everything. Like also at some point you have this like whisper song and it's just kind of like, why is this in the game? But with that, let's wrap things up. And that's going to be it. Thoughts, feelings, verdict. I do really enjoy the game. It is a huge step up from the first game, and I definitely had an awesome time playing it and recording footage for it. And yeah, that's I think it's aged really decently, and it's still a fun experience to play nowadays. So that's going to be it. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, share a video with a friend, and peace out!